Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to my dark little corner of the hive, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. Thank you so much for joining me tonight in the hive for this special October spooky season episode of Cryptic Corner.
There is a old saying in Scotland that roughly translates to keep the cat turning. So there's a bit of folklore here that's maybe worth digging into. So somebody wanted to find out kind of where that phrase came from and look into it. And we got a horror show ahead of us. Creepy and dark tale for this October evening. And let's just dig right into it. This is the topic of Celtic alluromancy. All right, alluromancy, if you don't know, is an art of divination through communication with the other side via cats, felines. It's a pretty dark little pathway. And I just wanted to explore a little bit here. So here's a description that I have for you. Okay, this is a Scottish Highland ritual, right? That was practiced right up until until like the 17th century, 18th century, I think it was. Yeah, the 18th century. Really creepy. The most awful ceremony known in the Highland was called the Teg Herum, but better understood as giving his supper to the devil. It consists of roasting cats alive on spits until the archfiend appeared in bodily shape. He was then compelled to grant whatever wish the person who had the courage to perform the ceremony preferred, or to explain and answer whatever questions might be propounded. Tradition makes mention of 3 instances of its performance in the West Highlands. It is a tribute to the fearless character of the actor that such a right should be ascribed to them. Those mentioned are Alan, the cattle lifter, who was a native to Lochaber, who derived his name from having lifted a creech for every year of his life. I don't know what lifted a creech means, but good for you, Alan. I'm happy you were able to pull that off, or sad that happened to you. He derived his name for every year of his life, and one for every quarter he was in his mother's womb. The place where the rite was celebrated is still called in Lochaber Dale de Kate, the Cat's Field. Another instance was by some children of Quithin, a small sept in the sky. I guess a sept is like a plot of land on the Isle of Skye. But make-believe cave on the east side of the island. The last instance was that performed by Alan MacLean, commonly styled as Alan MacCain, as of a family near Lochby, who projected the rite, and Lachlan MacLean, or Lacham Odar, who was an exceedingly bold and warlike man, the governor of Durand Castle, under his chief Sir Lachlan More MacLean. They fought a battle together later. Yeah, these two men shut themselves up in a large barn in Pennygown on the Sound of Mull, Isle of Mull. According to custom, they must roast the cats alive for 4 days without intermission or taste of food. The ceremony commenced on Friday and had not long proceeded when infernal spirits in the form of black cats began to enter the barn in which the rite was being celebrated and join in the horrible howling of those being roasted. Apparently, the Tagarum Nakat was part of a complex of Tagarum rituals of divination, not all of which involved gruesome barbecue and attracted monstrous fortune-telling felines. They had several methods of consulting fate. One of the most remarkable was when a number of men retired to a lonely, secluded place where one of the number was, with the exception of his head, enveloped in a cowhide and left alone for the night. Certain invisible beings then came and answering the questions which he put to them relieved him. Another method of seeking information was known as the Tagarum Nankat and consisted of putting a live cat in a spit and roasting it until others made an appearance and answered the questions obtained to release the unfortunate animal. Yeah, that's so. They're pretty horrid acts that they're being committed on these poor felines. Now, let's see here. Here we go. We're talking about the word here real quick. So the word seems to be derived from tu, which in some parts of the Highland is still used for ghost or spirit, and from garum, calling upon or invoking. It signifies, therefore, necromancy, or the invoking of spirits. There were different kinds of Tagarum, though. One of them was used on Skye, like not many years ago. That's the cowhide one that we just discussed. So these are just different book quotes that I have copied down here, so I'll make sure that I get everything covered, laying the groundwork from this, because we're gonna talk about the results of this, or the alleged results of this, because this is gonna come back real soon. Yeah, the institution was no doubt pagan in origin and was a sacrifice offered to the evil spirit, in return for which the votaries are entitled to demand 2 boons. So you get like 2 wishes from this guy. The idea entertained of it at the time must have been dreadful, as it is still often quoted for the purpose of terrifying young incredulous children. The sacrifice consists, of, here we go, roasting the cats again. Now, operation was continued for 4 days and nights without tasting food. The Tagarum commenced at midnight between Friday and Saturday, and was not long preceded when infernal spirits began to enter the house or barn in which it was performed, in the form of black cats. The first that entered, after darting furiously, looking at the operators, said, "Lacane outer, thou son of Neil, that is bad usage of cat." Allen, who superintended as master of the rites, cautioned Lachlan that whatever he should hear or see, he must continue to turn the spit, and this was done accordingly. The cats continued to enter, and yell of the cats on the spits, joined by the rest, were tremendous. A cat of enormous size at last appeared and told Lacane Hour that if he did not desist before his great-eared brother arrived, he would behold the face of God. Lachlan answered that if the devils in hell came, he would not flinch until his task was concluded. By the end of the 4th day, there was a black cat at the root of every after and on the roof of the barn, and their yells were distinctly heard beyond the sound of Mole in Morven. While later literature insists on the equation of Tagarum with the Christian notion of infernality, I'm saying this demonic, one still sees a peculiar Scottish defiance of everything up to that end, including the devil himself. Just beyond Storr and the farm of Rig, a green fertile spot amid the stony sea walls, and on the shore, there a little farther north, lies a huge fallen boulder, through which the ravages of time and sea waves have pierced a high archway. But from its resemblance to a church with an open door, it is called Egel's Bregach, or the false church. And nearby stands the petrified minister, a pillar of rock, never able to enter his high pulpit. This boulder was the scene of a grisly rite known in Celtic folklore, but so awful and seldom performed that the Teg Hearn, a giving of devil his supper. The small sept of McQuithin, despised by all men, lived nearby, and some of them resolved to perform a ceremony. They caught some cats and roasted them living on a spit. By and by, they found themselves surrounded by cats, yelling like fiends. "Whatever you hear, keep the cat turning," said the leader of the McQuithins. To him who held the spit, there came a dread silence. Another cat joined the company. Him the leader knocked down with the cross of his sword hilt, and at once the devil appeared in his proper guise, compelled now to grant whatever the men asked for. But earthly prosperity was not theirs for long. They died, and the devil marked them as his own, and now they are in hell. The leader of the band was the last to die, and was warned of the fate of his comrades, but he was utterly unrepentant, and with much composure announced his intentions to join his companions, saying that if he had 3 short swords that would neither break nor bend, he would vanquish all the devils in hell and make prisoners of them. So he thinks he's going to go down there and be a full-on badass. Cats certainly have an honored place in association with various forms of witchcraft and magical ritual, but a lot of divination practices are slightly less fatal to felines, as the time-honored concept of alluromancy, sometimes called felimancy, is generally understood to be the foretelling of future events through the observation of the behavior of cats. But that's not what we get with the Teg Hearn. It's the edgy version. Teg Hearn is the edgy version of alluromancy, which is divination through observation of felines. According to Horst Deuteroscopy, black cats were indispensable to the incantation ceremony of the Teg Hearn. And these were dedicated to the subterranean god, or later in the demons of Christianity. The midnight hour between Friday and Saturday was the authentic time for these horrible practices and invocations. And the sacrifice, excuse me, and the sacrifice was continued 4 days. For 4 whole days and nights. Yeah, we covered that. With the operator not taking any nourishment. After the cats were dedicated to the devil and put into a magical, sympathetic condition by the shameful things done to them, the agony occasioned them, one of them at once put upon the spit, and amid the terrifying yells, roasted before a slow fire. Gosh, this is horrific. The moment the howls of the tortured cat ceased and death, another was put on. Yes, so they continued it going and going and going. For a minute or of interval must not take place if they would control hell. And this continued for 4 entire days and nights. If the exorcist could hold it out still longer, and even till his physical powers were absolutely exhausted, he must do so. After a certain continuance of the sacrifice, infernal spirits appeared in the shape of black cats. So they look like the rest of the cats, but they're hanging from the rafters and all over the bouncing all around, yowling and screaming. Finally appeared a cat of monstrous size with dreadful menace. When the Tehirrim was completed, the sacrificer demands of the spirit the reward of his offering, which consists of various things, as riches, children, food, and clothing. The gift of second sight, which they had not had before, was, however, the usual recompense. So, wishing for the ability to see the future and read people's minds, I guess. And they retained it to this day and their death. The connection of these ceremonies with the shaman of Northern Asia and witch practices the Middle Ages is obvious. That's from Einemoser. I don't want to be too quick to dismiss it as like, oh, just another individual shamanic practice. Like, there's a lot of unique Celtic origins to this. The Kate She comes to mind, which we will be talking about in more detail next weekend, because we got cats all the way down for the next 3 weeks. So if you like learning about cryptid cats, and that's not big cats, that's like felines, like kitty cats, we got 3 episodes in a row that we're going to be doing covering cats. Next week we're talking about the Kate She will come up, because we're talking about the Kellis cat. If you don't know what the Kellis cat is, stick around and we will let you know. I'm gonna go ahead and end my poll here. I think everybody's kind of answered their opinion on that. Yeah, Scottish. Let me catch up on the chat. Sorry, I've been kind of in my head reading here. So I gotta go way back. So hang in there. Here we go. Yeah, we're gonna be black cats all the way down for Halloween. I'm here for it. I love kitties. I haven't had a kitty in a long time though. I miss having cats. Yeah, they run out of cats. They run out of chickens. In the Middle Ages, cats were kind of demonized though. The cats prefer to burn you, says Stephanie Helms. I feed my cats healthy vegan meals. 4 days of burning cats and fasting sounds awful. Yeah, because they're going to be yowling and stuff. How do you burn something alive for 4 days? Surely they would die pretty quick. Yeah, you gotta, like, they put them on one at a time. It's horrendous, but again, hasn't been done for centuries now, as far as we know. But we're going to look at a case here in a second, as soon as I get caught up here, of what was perhaps the Tehirrim that caused it. So hang in there. Let's see here. I thought I saw some comments about this. There's one lurking in the water dish in my kitchen, right? Meow. Hey, Sumami, good morning. This is some weird theistic barbarism, you see, Love says. Absolutely. It's crazy what people used to get up to and think how they thought the natural world works. It's just it's archaic, but I'm glad that I've found that I actually, when I was into the New Age scene, right, I was really this particular type of divination was my bag. I wanted to learn how to do alluromancy. We had lots of cats when I was that age. We were witchy people, so we had lots of cats, and I did want to learn how to communicate with them. I would have never done anything like this. I love cats. There's no way. But, I wanted them to, I wanted to be able to, honestly, I wanted to be able to communicate with them because I love them so much. So I learned about this a long, long time ago, this ritual. It was like, oh, that's the awfulest thing. But I do like keeping these things, the memory of these things alive. We gotta remember where we've come from, what kind of stuff we used to do as a species to other species on the planet for superstitious reasons. and we still do it today to different species and different people groups too, for that are bias superstitions that don't actually hold up. Yeah, fasting causes hallucinations. That's probably part of the process. And you start hearing like the yowling of the cats that you're torturing starts to sound like words to you as you're hallucinating. Absolutely. I heard someone say that the other day house cats are not mentioned in the Bible, and that's odd because the Egyptians are mentioned. Yeah, well, the thing is too about that is that mongoose is mentioned in the Bible. So was the mongoose the preferred mouser of the Levant? I think probably was. Maybe in the Levant they had more mongoose than cats to control, because that's what they were. They were field control. They were rodent control. Now, obviously, you can pet them and play with their babies, whether it's mongoose or cats. They can be domesticated to be friendly and interact with people. So yeah, mongoose mentioned in the Bible, but no black cats. Once upon a time, I heard mythology that there was no true black cat left. Every black cat in the world now has at least one hair of a different color, because all the true black cats were killed during the Middle Ages, the witch burnings. I've heard that legend too. That's as far as I can tell, that's completely false. But that's also something else that we'll get into for when we talk about the Kellis cat too, is some of the Middle Age beliefs about the wild cats and about what domestic cats were and what they represented. Seriously, sounds like you could use this as a hag ritual for D&D. Yeah, alluromancy. It'd be cruel though. Cats can be great companions. They miss out on a friend. Yeah, when they roast them alive. Officially hit the wall. Yeah. Killing those plague rats. That was witchcraft. These cats were obviously in league with the devil, killing the plague rats. A boat I made sails for is named Tavi. That's cool. Ooh, Steph hit the 200 subscribers. Woo woo! Go Stephanie. Little Bun does have a white patch on his chest. Yeah, we had a black cat that was named Thorn, and he had just like a little sprig of hairs on his center of his chest that were white. That's this guy right up on the screen is actually an inverted black cat with the patch on his chest. Again, I keep mentioning it. Next week we're going to talk about the Kellis cat, so tune in next week because it's going to be fun. But we need to get back over to learning about this creature. So we're going to move on. Because right now we're stuck in the Middle Ages, right, or the late Middle Ages. We're going to get right into just last century, the 20th century. Here we go. It could have been a scene enacted from Dante's Inferno. Even the clouds seemed to be wreathed in flames as torrent after torrent of plummeting German bombs screamed through the darkness in the skies over South London and danced a fiery tarantella of death upon the shuddering streets like a flurry of shrieking souls in everlasting torment. And in the midst of this panorama of pandemonium was Howard Leland, one of the many volunteers with the ARP, the Air Raid Precaution, who had been boldly defying the deadly rain of missiles throughout the fearful evening of October 1943 in a desperate bid to minimize the malevolent effect. Little did Leland realize, however, that he would soon encounter something infinitely more sinister and malign with any conjured forth by the wartime enemy. And the ground reverberated from the intensity of yet another mighty explosion nearby. Leland ran into a deserted house to take shelter until the immediate danger had passed. The building's interior was pitch black, but with the aid of his torch, he located a staircase and rested on the bottom steps for a while. waiting for his latest airborne assault to end. Suddenly, a cold shadow of fear swept across him, for as he sat there, he realized indefinably, but undeniably, that he was no longer alone in the house. Something, not someone, else was here too, close by and watching him. Unbidden eyes. His gaze turned upward to the top of the stairs, and the feeling intensified. Surely there, concealed amid the Stygian gloom, was the source of his fear, and now he would reveal its identity. Leland switched on his torch again, directing it, penetrating its beam onto the topmost stair, and beheld a hellish sight that transfixed him with fear, expelling from his mind all of that evening's previous horrors in an instant. Crouched upon the stairs, a huge, hairy beast, like with tabby stripes of black and brown, clawed paws and blazing eyes that glowed like twin infernos, mesmerized Leland with an incandescent gaze, not glaze. They might have been glazed, though, I don't know. It would have resembled a monstrous cat, had it not been for the pair of sharp, pointed horns that protruded from its skull. For almost a minute, Leland remained motionless, held in thrall by the cold aura of palpable evil that radiated inexorably from the beast's unblinking eyes. And then it moved. With a single colossal leap, it sprang from the stairs, plunging down into the shadowy room. But before it reached the ground, it had vanished. Yet its presence had not entirely gone, for Leland could plainly hear a spine-chilling, yowling cry echo in the empty room. At the same instant, however, the sound of human footsteps came from the opening of the front door, and the spell was broken. The eldritch cry ceased immediately, and through the door walked two of Leland's ARP comrades. Their reassuringly familiar forms and voices swiftly dispersed the shadow of terror that had encompassed Leland only moments before, and encouraged him to recount his chilling experience. Neither of his friends had heard anything when they entered the house, however, so he did not expect them to treat this account seriously, which is why he was so surprised when they listened silently and with grave expression throughout his story, making no attempt to scoff or scorn his words. When Leland had finished, his friends informed him that he was not the first person to have spied the feline monster. On the contrary, it had been seen by many different eyewitnesses over a period of several years, and the sightings were always the same: an immense horned cat with demonic eyes squatting at the top of the stair. Nevertheless, in the hopes that a more straightforward explanation might be forthcoming, the three men walked up the stairs to search everywhere thoroughly for any physical evidence of the creature's reality, but nothing was found. Still disturbed by the memory of this grotesque entity, but anxious to uncover the identity and possible significance, 2 days later, Leland visited a renowned clairvoyant, John Pendragon, and recalled to him his encounter. After listening intently, Pendragon located the house on a large map in London, then placed a forefinger on the precise spot marking it. At once, Pendragon's mind was filled with a whirling vista of cats. Countless furry wraiths swirling all around at the top of the deserted house's stairs with a screeching, spitting vortex of feline fury. A mad maelstrom of undying hate. And at its very center was something much larger, but it was not a cat. Not even a horned demon cat. It was a man, haggard and despairing, with a noose in his hands, about to place it around his own neck. After describing the vision to Leland, Pendragon asked him to make inquiries among the house's neighbors to discover whether any details of its history and its previous owners corresponded with his vision. A week later, Leland returned, bearing some extremely interesting and vindicating news. One of the house's former inhabitants had been an ardent practitioner of the black arts, in a vain hope of improving what he had perceived to be a wretched, unfulfilled life. In accordance with one particularly grisly ritual, he had routinely slaughtered numerous cats for sacrifice upon an unholy altar. Ultimately, the balance of his mind had become totally unhinged, and he had committed suicide, hanging himself with a noose suspended from the banister at the top of the stairs. Shortly afterwards, the great horned cat had been seen there for the first time, and the spectral yowling cries have often been heard since. When Leland asked his opinion as to this monster's precise nature, Pendragon suggested that it was probably an elemental spirit, one whose feline appearance and vitriolic hatred had been created by restless ghosts of a departed sorcerer's many feline victims, and which would linger indefinitely in the grim locality where they had all met their terrible death. Although the vast majority of Britain's mystery cats are unquestionably exotic, non-native cats like leopards and mountain lions and such, that have escaped or have been deliberately released from captivity or simply misidentified common animals, some investigators have speculated whether a few of them are in reality paranormal entities disguised as big cats, as would certainly seem to have been the case with the London's horned demon cat of World War II. Incidentally, it should be noted here that although the original source of the case was John Pendragon, autobiography Pendragon in 1968, which was written in collaboration with paranormal mystery writer, investigator Brad Steiger. I used to have a couple of Brad Steiger's books. It only contained a fairly brief account of the events. However, Steiger's own book, Bizarre Cats, in 1993, I think that's the one I had, included much more detailed, greatly expanded version related to him by Pendragon, which not only emphasized the entity's feline nature, but also incorporated other noteworthy additions, such as the full name of the eyewitness, merely referred to by his initials in Pendragon's books, and the hideous cat slaying ritual performed by the man who had subsequently committed suicide in the house where the horned cat demon were later seen. So, and that's this is from Carl Schucker's blog. Let me pull it up here because I do get a lot of my research from here. He is a cryptozoologist. He's pretty credulous though, and I like that. His accounts are generally credulous, but this is his blog here, which I've been reading to you. I just figured I'd better put something more poppable up on the screen while I was doing through that, because it gets boring sometimes just sitting here listening to me read and looking at the letters on the screen. So hope you like that format. I will try to continue to do that more. Looks like everybody liked it. I got like 26 people up in here. Hey, good morning, Titan. Good morning, Maya and Al and everybody else that I missed. Sorry if I missed ya. But let me see. Let me catch up with the chat here. The true black pigment gene for cats is rare, but they exist. Most black cats are actually very dark brown. If you look at a black cat in the sunlight, you'll see it looks brown. Some of them have like a tabby pattern underneath too, like a very faint one. Let's see. Is it the ambition of every well brought up mongoose to be a house mongoose? Like, yeah, like Rudyard Kipling's Ricky Tikki Tavi, yeah. Or Geff the talking mongoose, remember him? I'll have to take your word for it. I hate cats. Not enough to burn them alive, though. Holy shit. Yeah. Well, thank you for not burning cats alive. That seems like a low bar for how we handle cats. I think 209 right now. 209, go staff. 9 since just the other day. Stay tuned for a show I did with Phoebe J. Rose and Blair Hamilton on the transatlantic. Yep, I was I there for that? I think I was there for that, wasn't I? Yeah, it's a good story for why you don't invite friends to your home. People are demented. Nice storytelling, but no way did this actually happen. Yeah, I don't think this actually happened. Well, I think that maybe he saw a cat, like he went into the house and he was scared, and there was a big, maybe like a Norwegian forest cat or something living in the house that was sitting at the top of the stairs, and his torch hit its eyes, and he was all rattled from the bombings, and he decided that he saw a giant horned cat instead of actually seeing a real cat or seeing a demon cat. It was maybe a real cat. If a character's name is Pendragon, I'm automatically skeptical, right? I'm with you there. What if they are aliens disguising themselves as the dominant life form on the planet? What if cats just are aliens? You know, a cat's meow is at the same register as a baby's cry. They literally sound like our children in distress to get our attention. My neighbor has a true black cat. She hates everyone but me. A true long-haired black cat is beautiful. Ring's at 207 too. Ring and Steph are neck and neck. All right. Well, that was the first installment of this new Cryptic Corner series I'm doing for Halloween. So that was part 1 of the mystery cats. This one was what they call him Big Ears is the demon cat of the Teg Harem. They call him, his name is literally Big Ears. And then the horned demon cat of World War II, which may or may not be the same entity known as Big Ears. Maybe they just, in the shock of the bombing, he saw the Big Ears as a set of horns. That's a possibility, right? Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this this format. It's just kind of more of a storytelling format than a response video format. But happy birthday, Gary! Happy birthday to Gary! I hope this was scary. And there aren't no giant cats to come and get you and be hairy. I don't know what we're gonna say there because you can't actually sing the birthday song. I'll get my video struck down for royalties. I don't know. Is that still a thing about the birthday song? Do we do, hey, it's your birthday? But now Gary's birthday is immortalized in my demon cat video. And I'll go ahead and give you spoilers on next week and the week after. So next week we are going to be doing the Kellis cat, and when it comes to cryptids, it's one you're not going to want to miss. If you like cryptozoology, like genuinely the search for unknown animals as an area of research, if you think that that's interesting, if you think that's fun, if you want to learn about them, come back next week for another episode of Cryptic Corner, where we jump into the Kellis cat. The week after that, we get back into some more paranormal stuff because we're going to have the ghost cat of D.C., of Washington, D.C., the ghost cat. So if you're not familiar with that, that's 2 weeks out. Okay, so that's our feline special for October. We're doing the witchy cats this year. We've done UFO October. I think, what did we do last year? Poltergeist or something like that. But this year we're doing cat stuff. So hang around for that. We are also going to be doing other fundy responses to Halloween too, like I did last year. So keep your eye out for that. That was my main theme last year, but it was actually through In Creation Watch that I did it, not in Cryptic Corner. But we'll be doing responses to Fundy stuff too. So more Halloweeny stuff to come. So I'm here for it. I love spooky season, and I hope you do too. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Love